This is the only house standing on this hill in the occupied West Bank. Here, there are 3 legal Israeli settlements, an illegal settlement outpost, an Israeli military camp, and 1 determined Palestinian family. To stay, they have to take extreme measures. They want to protect themselves from attacks by Israeli settlers.
We can't leave the house alone. My sisters got married and I couldn't even go to their weddings. They are always hovering around. I can't even get to work. One of us has to stay home because they might come at any time.
Musab says the attacks are getting more frequent and more violent.
In 2002, the settlers burned the house and my dad had a heart attack a few days after.
He believes the Israeli settlement project has one main goal: to push Palestinians off of their lands. But this is the only land they've known, the only country they belong to, the only home they own for generations.
We were here before the settlers. My grandfather built the house in the 1970s. Then my father and mother inherited it. We are here protecting it as well and will pass it on to our kids.
Illegal Israeli settlements and outposts have been historically established on hilltops. Over time, they expand further, all at the expense of Palestinians.
If this family leaves their home, the area would be filled with Israeli settlers living illegally, as seen in many other places in the occupied West Bank. So far, the Safan family says they're the guardians of the hill, and they want to keep it that way. Nida, Ibrahim, Al Jazeera, the occupied West Bank.
OK, let's go live to Willem, who's in the Palestinian neighbourhood of Silwan in occupied East Jerusalem. And Willem, can you just talk us through the damage that's been done by the demolitions and forced expulsions that are really so commonplace there?
So, Tom, our team has worked hard to find a spot where we can try and illustrate some of these issues you've just mentioned there comprehensively through the geography. We're kind of to the southeast of the old city of Jerusalem in occupied East Jerusalem. And we're in an area called Silwan. 60,000 Palestinians live here. We're going to just try and take you on a little visual tour, if it makes sense. This hillside here is a neighborhood called Bat Nil Hawa. And you can see it's incredibly crowded, lots and lots of 4- and 5-story apartment blocks. What's been happening over the last few years is that Jewish families, settlers, have been using historically linked laws that the Israeli state has introduced that allow them to take over apartments, houses, properties that may have been owned by Palestinians for decades that had some kind of historical link prior to 1948. This other neighborhood down at the bottom of this valley area is called Al-Bustan. You can see some of the palm trees there amongst the rooftops. And there's around 100 or so properties here at risk of being demolished. And on top of that, probably 1,500 people who risk losing their homes to demolition across all of occupied East Jerusalem. There have been 88 of those kinds of demolitions. So it's not an empty threat. This is something that really impinges on people's lives very frequently. And of course, if we move over to this side as well, I wanted to show you this side of this hillside too. You've got 2 neighborhoods. Closest to us on this hillside is Wadi al-Rababa. Here we've had people just in the last couple of years having settlers move into their properties while they've been out for the day, and then seeing years and years of litigation to try and win their properties back, often unsuccessfully. In the far distance, that next neighborhood just below the old walls of Jerusalem is Wadi Hilwe. There again, we've seen people being forced out of their homes, often for archaeologically linked pretexts. There will be historical sites of archaeological interest that the Israeli state has said need to be developed, and people have been forced out of their homes in order to make space for those. And just to leave you with a thought, Tom, the Al-Aqsa Mosque you can see there in the distance, people living in this area, Silwan, it's not a long way to get up there, but young people in particular on a Friday, particularly when there are security concerns amongst the Israeli police and Israeli military, they are blocked from just walking up that hill every Friday to say their prayers, Tom.
Yeah, we have seen that, especially since October the 7th. Thanks so much, Willem. Willem Marx for us there in Silwan, occupied East Jerusalem.